Talking about the National Democratic Congress, NDC, the party has announced its campaign team, signed by General Secretary Fifi Fiavikwete. One of the key persons that will be driving the NDC campaign is former Minister for Health, a lawyer, Alex Segbefia. He was a Deputy Chief of Staff in the Mills government. He's my guest on Point Blank. FO, you're welcome.
Good evening to you. Good evening to your listeners.
Doing very well. How are you too?
I'm very good, and I'm glad to hear you're doing good.
It's
you look good too.
Yeah, you're also looking good. Just that your grey beard is looking cuter.
Opposition is good sometimes.
I think I like how the grey is matching with your skin tone. It's beautiful. I want to also have some one day.
Don't worry. I like your goatee as well. Looking sharp.
Let's talk about your campaign team.
Yes.
So for those who may not have followed, your party issued a statement announcing your campaign team, chaired by your General Secretary. Walk us through how you came up to this and what the key things we should expect are.
Well, I think it's important to note that the constitution of our party makes the General Secretary the campaign coordinator for all affairs. We've tinkered with it differently in the past, but we've kept him in this position now. So he's the campaign coordinator. And then we put together a steering committee or a steering team that is to steer the issues of the campaign. And as you can see, it's got very prominent, very experienced people in the affairs of the party in the steering committee. Then you've got it broken down into the flag bearers campaign, and then the running mates campaign, with the leaders of those two campaigns, and then the spokespersons that will help with that campaign. So that basically is what it is. We've kept some notable names out, particularly because we didn't want any current MP or PC to be part of the campaign. They have arduous responsibility in ensuring that we maximize all our votes in the constituencies. And so there was a deliberate effort to keep MPs and PCs out of the team.
So you're talking about a story all around that John Mahama, and this was actually a claim made by someone you served in government with, Kokwanyido. He was communications director when you were Deputy Chief of Staff to Mills. He has said on Twitter that John Mahama said they should not add Haruna Idrisu and Muntaka Mubarak to the campaign team.
It's absolutely false. I'm not going to discuss Kokwanidu on this set. There's a clear criteria. The only MP is by virtue of his position on the steering committee, and that is Honorable Atufosin, who is the minority leader. So he's, by virtue of that, he's the only person who is an MP who is on the steering committee. Where we needed somebody to be part or to lead the parliamentary side, we went for a former MP, Richard Koshiga, and he was brought in. So all bases more or less have been covered. There's always going to be a bit of memory when you come up with a list like this, because everybody wants to belong or act in some way. It's a very not a large number compared to what came out from our opponents. It's not a large number because
it looks like your list is not exhaustive enough.
No.
Maybe it's not even inspiring.
It's very inspiring because this is what.
Baumia gave us specifics, who is heading what at what stage, but you just have a broad contours and you left it at that.
Well, I think that strategically what we've done is good for us. We're happy with what we've done. The meat will be put onto what is the bones. And we are very conversant with how our campaign will run. The other aspects of it which I shall not speak about on air. But we are very clear about our campaign and we are happy with what we've put out.
So the removal or the non-addition of Haruna Idrisu and Muntaka is not a big deal?
They are both parliamentary candidates and both are running for their seats. There's no other parliamentary candidate who's... Is there anybody else apart from Atufosin who's
I haven't seen any.
No. So for me, And that was the criteria, so it's a non-starter. Let's be clear. And we are not in any way underestimating our opponents. We've been burnt, and burnt badly. We believe we should be in power. We are in opposition. We're not about to put all our strategies and things into the public domain. We are happy with our team. Small as it may seem to people, when we are ready to move, we move.
So you are heading the Running Mates campaign.
That's right.
That's your title in the campaign team. There's a coordinator who is your general secretary. You said that that's by your constitution.
Yes.
I've seen that all the functional executives are also part of the campaign.
Yes.
The
steering committee.
Yeah, the steering committee.
Yeah.
Forgive me for using that. So it means that they are also playing oversight. And I'm told that your party chairman is going to be the overall chairman of the whole campaign.
Yes.
And the candidate himself is going to, of course, be the buck will stop with him.
Amen.
Let's talk about what you are doing with the Running Mates. So you are essentially going to run Professor Nana Jeno-Poku-Agyeman. Talk to us about what that would entail.
The first thing to remember is that it's all well and good to talk about campaigns in terms of flag bearers campaign, but you need to work as a team. You can't work in isolation. And so there is going to be a lot of information flow between both teams, centralized through the general secretary, who is the campaign coordinator. And that's as far as I'm prepared to go. But everybody should be rest assured, who is NDC and the floating voter, that no stone is going to be left unturned in the way we are going to manage this campaign. We have the advantage of the flag bearer having gone round numerous times on this game. But in recent times, he's actually been round all the regions to find out what Ghanaians want us to put in our manifesto, what ails them most, what they need to be hearing us say, what they expect a new government to put in place. So he's already got that, and he's been round, and we have that information, and the manifesto committee is working hard to put together our manifesto, which once again will be the best manifesto of any political party that is going into this election.
When should we expect to see your manifesto?
I hope that by next month you would be able to see it, but that's just a guess. But we are taking a lot of things into consideration. One of them being that technically our opponents never have any ideas, and anytime we come out with ideas, they are ready to then say it's the idea. But at the point when we are ready to bring it out, we would also have a marketing strategy which will ensure that everybody in Ghana knows what it is we want to do and how we want to do it.
In 2008, you had a three-pronged campaign or three-headed campaign.
Yes.
Jerry Rawlings leading one, John Mills leading one, John Mahama leading one.
Yeah.
What would be the approach this time around? Now that you are heading the Running Mates campaign, are you going to have a similar team? How is it going to look like? Are you all going to be on one trail?
No.
Or you're going to have separate trail? How is it going to work like?
At the very least, we have two, the flag bearer and the running mate. The possibility of a third exists. So we are looking at the various options that we have on the table. And we are also very much alive to making sure that we are most effective with the little resources that we have. So it's planning, execution. Planning, execution. So it's going to be very, we hope, scientific in what we are going to do and how we are going to do it.
Okay. Let's talk about 2024. And for people who are just joining us, I'm having a conversation with Alex Segbefia. He's former Minister of Health, but he's now the head of the Professor Nana Jeno-Poku-Agyeman campaign in election 2024. What is NDC selling to Ghanaians?
Well, we are fully aware that Ghanaians have made up their mind that they're not happy with the MPP government, but that is not enough to win an election. So we have to have a manifesto and ideas that people are going to buy into and accept that we will make a difference when we come based on what we intend to do. We are being realistic in our manifesto in terms of what we think we will find when we get in terms of funding and what we think we have to fix. I think President John Mahama has made a number of, or given out a number of things that he intends to do. At the moment, he's talked about the 24-hour economy. He's talked about ex gratia issues. He's talked about what he wants to do in the health sector, etc., etc. Just a few snippets of things here and there. So I don't want to go into too much detail at this stage and just rehash what he said. I think that while we are in our planning stage in terms of how we are going to move out, we will keep our powder dry for now, and we will ensure that we surprise a few people when we actually decide to come out the way we want to come out and what we intend to do. But we are not underestimating our opponent. That's the key. As far as we are concerned, the election was stolen the last time. We believe we won. We are Democrats. That's why we are all about our business now. So we have to ensure that this election is not stolen and that we count our figures, because we are confident that Ghanaians will vote us back into power. But the process starts with us. Let's go out. Let's go and tell Ghanaians what we are going to be able to do for them. And we are quietly confident, but not complacent in the very least. We know our opponents.
The criticism against you in relation to your defeat the last time was that you did not have your systems running well. And I'm referring to tabulating systems or collation systems, both 2016 and 2020. Are you deploying a new technical strategy? Are you going to bring some technical people from abroad to come and assist you? What's the approach? Because it appeared that you were beaten at your game because you had challenges with your own coalition. Your system, we're told, was shut down a few hours into coalition. What new thing are you going to offer your party members who are listening to you, who would go and cast the ballot? After casting the ballot at the polling station, the rest will remain your work as agents and party executives. What assurance do you have that you can do a better job this time at mathematics?
Well, let me start by saying that when you say we were beaten at our game, it's not entirely correct, because we went into a football game. And when we got there, we found hockey players with hockey sticks whacking and putting people down, and 8 people died. So it wasn't the same game we were playing. The rules were changed at the election. We are ready for any eventuality this time round. And we are not going in complacent. We know what we have to do, and we intend to do what is required and necessary to ensure that the right thing is done and votes are counted properly. So, as to what we are going to do, I only give one hint. In Asin North, we collated our results first. We had all our pink sheets in good time, and we actually had to give some correction, we will say, to the EC's position on some areas. So, for the first time in a long time, we were ahead of the game. The MPP wasn't even close.
That's a small election in a small corner in the central region.
Well, the important thing, as I say,
we're looking
is
at
that
a national election of 276 constituencies.
I agree. That is the issue that we must take account of. But the point is that it can be done. We had other by-elections. We never had that concise, precise issue. And I agree with you. Cooking for 2 people for lunch is different from cooking for a party. So I agree with you entirely. But at least it lays the foundation, which is required. And we have won elections before. So it's not like we don't know how to cook at a party. We had problems with the kind of game or kind of party we thought we were indeed involved in. And we are aware of that now. So as far as I'm concerned, the processes and systems we have can work and will work. We just have to ensure that we count our vote. And that is what we intend to do.
Your opponents say they are going to break the 8, and they've explained why they ought to break the 8. They have explained that the challenges we are facing now are force majeure. It should not be blamed on them. COVID-19, they reference. Ukraine war, they reference. But they say that they are better fixers of the economy than you are. You do not have a counter message, do you, that would show that, because yes, the economy is not looking good, but that would not equate to votes for you automatically, does it?
I think that for the first time, even if we didn't say anything, we have a case. Why? Because there's a direct comparison now. We have a flag bearer who has been president before, has been vice president before. You can compare his record as vice president with the record of the current vice president. You can compare his record as president with the current president. He wins hands down.
Based on
Take
what?
all the macroeconomic indicators. Tell me in the last 7 years, at Kufuor's period, which hospital has ever been built by the MPP to write home about?
They brought you 275 ambulances. That has never happened before.
We brought ambulances as well.
Your ambulances are a subject of a court case.
No.
Because
President Mills brought in ambulances first.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think the number was 100 and something ambulances.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not give the impression that they were the first to bring ambulances.
They brought 275.
We brought 100 and something before we got to
So
200.
that's less. And secondly, you brought trotros. That's what they said. That case is currently before court. You were Minister of Health at the time.
I'm very clear in my mind that nobody brought any trotros.
You brought empty container vehicles.
We brought vehicles, and the medical equipment was shipped into the country. As you and I know, the matter is in court. Let's drop it here.
Mm-hmm.
If the need for me time comes after the end of the case, for me to go down through the issues, call me any day. I'm happy to speak.
Okay.
But as a lawyer, I think my hands are tied up to a point.
Mm-hmm. So you're developing a case that you have done better in health infrastructure.
Yes.
For both MPP1 and MPP2.
Not just health infrastructure. You've done better in almost every structure or every portfolio that exists under this current government. Economy-wise, we've done much better, which is the key. When we left office, we hadn't borrowed 1 cedi from the Bank of Ghana. How much do we owe Bank of Ghana now? Or how much debt does the Bank of Ghana have?
You didn't deliver free SHS to us.
We started progressive free SHS.
Yeah, which got nowhere.
No, why?
You left classroom blocks uncompleted. You said you were going to do 200. You did very, very few.
I think that is unfortunate, because if the current government had the wealth that it had, by now we should see a lot more educational infrastructure had it been an NDC government than we have now. I think that the free SH policy is a good policy. The framers of our constitution put free SHS in the constitution. By the way, the MPP boycotted the program, consultative assembly, that put together the constitution. So they didn't even conceive free SHS. It was conceived by the forebearers of the NDC, which was the PNDC, coming into constitutional rule. So free SHS, if you want to know the genesis of it, Genesis, you got to go to Kwame Nkrumah. You move from there, you got to come to PNDC into 1992 Constitution. It's our baby. But not at all, not immediately. Progressive was the word used.
Yes, but if you put
so
it
if you now want to give
the Constitution and you don't implement it, you can't take credit for it.
We have begun to implement it. Umaro, you are clear that all the classroom...
What you were doing
yes.
cannot even be compared to what has been done now. I mean, despite the challenges now, free means free. You were saying you stagger it. The people said no. It's almost like the Nkrumah versus UGCC thing.
No.
Independence now. Another one said independence in the nearest shortest possible time.
Before I came into this studio, somebody had called me. He said, 2 of my children are in SSS. I'm going to do everything to campaign to get the MPP out of government.
Why?
I said, why? He says, I have 2 daughters. I pay 1,500 a month for each, for extra classes, because what they are learning in school will not help them. His story is common. Look, there is benefit to free SHS. Let's not knock it. We put it in the Constitution. But there's a way to do it, and there's a way to implement it. I think it has been implemented poorly. especially when one looks at the amount of money that has gone through the MPP's hands. There are serious difficulties with its implementation. We should never have had the traffic light system, or what do they call the
double track.
Double track. We should never have had it. We were not ready. So we went ahead. So we are doing fix it.
Better to be educated under these challenging circumstances than not to be educated at all. The argument for the government is that if they hadn't done that, to not leave anyone behind, a lot of people would have been left behind. They want everybody to enter regardless of how it's going to be like.
Maru,
that's a better story.
You insult a lot of our elders. I know a lot of our uneducated, in inverted commas, elders who are wise and who are able to deal with issues. Do not equate education that we know to wisdom, or for that matter, knowledge. There are many people who have wisdom, who are wise and have a lot of knowledge, who have never stepped in a classroom. But if you're going to put somebody through an education, the worst thing you can do is to bring out an educated fool. This is not a joke. This is the education of our children. Get it right. And some of us have been through an education system which allowed, from Kwame Nkrumah days right through to now, people came out. We have never had education where you didn't have those who are extremely talented getting through. How do you help the people at the lower end? Yes, give them the tools everybody says is right. It's in our constitution. But all you needed to do was to wait for 2 years, in my humble opinion, and this is my opinion. In the first 2 years when they came in, all that oil revenue they got and monies they got from elsewhere and the ability to borrow money should have concentrated on two factors. One, complete the infrastructure and increase the teacher training. By the time you got into your third year, you would have infrastructure and teachers able to deal. And you would also have extra money at that point to buy textbooks for your children. How can you say you people are being educated when they don't have textbooks?
We have to go, but your opponents say that the alternative is empty and the alternative is you. Speak to Ghanaians to show them that you are not empty in 30 seconds.
Well, I think that we've been there, done it, tried us, we've done it. We know what to do to bring smiles back onto the faces of Ghanaians. Go to the market, buy tomatoes, buy onions, buy fish or meat if you can afford it. We are in a bad place. And it's a direct comparison. Just look at where you were in 2016, 2012, 2016, and look at where you are now, 2024. There is no comparison. Vote NDC, vote in President John Dramani Mahama, and let a change come into all our lives. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Alex Segbefia chairs the campaign team of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, the NDC running mate into election 2024.